We are back with another episode of the Investor Guys podcast. Mr. Barnett, how you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, my brother, and you?
I'm doing well. That's a snazzy backdrop back there in honor of the Indy 500. Yes, both of us are car guys. Both of us are race guys. I actually like sports car racing on a sports car track. Yep. You love the oval. I've got buddies who love the strip. But I'll tell you what, as long as it's rubber and gas and oil and all that noise and all that smell, and I'm down. So I'm good with whatever. We do need to. We talked about this last year. We do need to do the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
I had spoken to some people last year about volunteering for just like as an official at the track. Which probably means we're just going to be glorified ushers with a name tag, but might still be something fun to do. So what did you want to do today? I know you had something you wanted to do, something that had to do with speed and getting there fast and finishing first. What was it?
So I spent 2 years pit crewing, 2 seasons pit crewing IndyCar, and this was actually our first car, number 42, John Hollingsworth Jr., who was a guy from here in Dallas. Our team was based in Rockwall, Texas, which is east of Dallas. And so back then, it was the Indy 500 was a longer experience than it is today. Today, it's a 2-week experience. Back then, it used to be referred to as the month of May because the entire month you were at the track and you were testing and practicing and doing all kind of stuff. And
qualifying times, everything else.
Yeah, qualifying times used to be, I think they still do this. It's 2 days. They have qualifying day and then they have what's called bubble day. And so if you ran fast enough and you qualified in the top 25 or so, you typically accepted your time, you were in the field and off you go. Well, those other spots, there's 33 cars. Those other spots fall into what's called bubble day, which is another day. And that's where you could be qualified, but somebody could come back on bubble day and run faster than you, and suddenly you're out. So if you were car 30, 31, 32, 33, you were, that's why they called it bubble day. You were kind of sitting on a bubble. Somebody came in and went faster, your bubble popped and you were out. So what I want to talk about today about how this.
Before you get started on the real estate aspect of this, explain to us pole position and what pole position is, because I think that's relevant to where you're going with this discussion in real estate. How does a person attain pole position and what is it?
All right, so pole position means you qualified the fastest for the race. So you get to start number 1. So you get to start at the front of the field and you get to start on the inside. And of course, the inside, when you're going around, whether it's an oval or a road course, the inside is the shortest distance. So you can actually drive a little faster if you're on the inside. Some of the super speedways have high banking and you may want to be up a little bit, but you'll see in every race, people try to get to the inside because it is a physically shorter distance. So you get a faster lap time. So if I'm first, if I qualify fastest, I get to start in front of everybody and I get to start on the left-hand side. So if I'm this car or any of these other cars, I'm going to be able to I've got an advantage. 1, everybody's already behind me. 2, I'm already to the inside. I don't have to get there. So I can jump out quickly and hopefully take a lead and keep a lead. So for how this is going to end up relating for us, I'm going to back up a little bit. So we ran multiple cars each year at the Indy 500. So I'm going to go to 1999. When we brought in our second car and our second driver, you also have to bring in an entire additional pit crew. So I worked on this car, which was our car for the entire year. Then we had a car for just the Indy 500, an additional car. So we brought in this entire additional crew. Now, one of the absolute key people, obviously, other than your driver, who is crucially important, but the next most important person, in my opinion, is your engineer. So the engineer is a person that they are always looking at the data on your engine. They're always looking at tire pressure, at stagger, where your front wing, where your rear wing is. Do you have your gear ratio set up correctly in your drivetrain? So they're looking at all these kind of stuff. It's all computerized through almost the entire race. They're staring at the computer. They're entering in information. They're digitally processing themselves to get you to go faster. And so what you understand is that how I get a better engineer is I have to pay more money. So one of the things that came out of that first Indy 500 experience was I understood this about racing. And I had one of the team owners say, Bill, money is speed. Money is speed. And what he meant by that was I can get the better driver. I can have the parts, the cars, the better engine. I can have the better engineer. All of that is money. And so when you look at racing, you have big money teams, little money teams, and they usually finish that way. It's usually the big money guys that finish up front because they can get the better stuff, because money is speed. Now, here's how that relates to us in real estate. You heard me use this. I borrow this and I credit him all the time. Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins talks about when you work with somebody, when you work with a consultant, a mentor, a coach, whatever it happens to be, what you're doing is you are trading decades for days. So you're learning in a few days what this person may have spent decades learning. So Kevin and I have both been 30 years in this thing, guys. So we got 60 plus years of real estate investing experience between us. We have pretty close to that. In training.
Actually, I think we're probably closer to 70. I hate to admit it, but I'm like at 35 years this year. So,
I kind of stopped. I don't want to cross the 30 thing. I just say,
yeah, me too. I just like to say 3 decades.
So when you've got somebody that is working with you, coaching, mentoring, leading an event, you're buying a product from whatever it is, you want to make sure that that person is at a very different level than you are in your business. And that's how you buy decades for days. Or when you're buying a product, if you're buying a home study course or a book, you're doing the same thing. You're trading a small amount of time for an experience level that somebody else has that's a very large amount of time. And so if I'm doing days for decades, or I'm turning decades into days, I'm advancing my career significantly faster. Now we're on break, and I'm going to continue with this thought of how it directly affects your real estate as far as money equals speed. And I'm going to show you how that fits into real estate. Hang around. We'll be right back.
Once a month, with the exception of December, Bill and I go to markets where we have experience and we host a real estate buyer's event. These are markets that have great return potential for your real estate portfolio. We're going to show you the properties that we buy. We're going to show you where to buy, where not to buy, the strategies to use to make great income from these properties. We're also going to show you resources and individuals here on the ground that you can use to start building your team so that you can repeat this process over and over. The real estate buyers events are designed to put high-performing properties in your portfolio right away. If you're interested in hearing more about the real estate buyers event, realestatebuyersevent.com. That's realestatebuyersevent.com. Read more about the events, check out the schedule, and register. We'll see you there. A lot of real estate training programs claim that they will make you a millionaire, but how many of them will guarantee it? The Millionaire Blueprint comes with a millionaire guarantee. I guarantee that if you use the strategies and you use the formulas that you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint, you will be a millionaire. I guarantee that with a double your money back guarantee. Whether you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest or absolutely nothing, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how to start investing and be a millionaire guaranteed. Now, I can't tell you all about it in this short amount of time, so go to theguaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's theguaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Watch the videos there. Read about the guarantee. Read more about what we offer with the Millionaire Blueprint. Get signed up. I'll see you in Palm Beach.
Go ahead and continue, and then we'll start it. Did it go away?
It did. Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
And we're back with the Investor Guys podcast. Another thing I wanted to add real quick before you get back into where you left off before we went into the break. Quality. The quality of what you put into your vehicle in this case, okay, or your investing career or your education is very important. That also comes with being able to see the difference. Now, I'm a car guy. If those of you guys who watch this, you know that. When I go out and I buy a part, when I have to replace a part for a vehicle, it's usually a classic vehicle, I go and I buy the part that is the best part, but also I look for something that has a warranty, preferably a lifetime warranty. I keep my cars for a long time. So I want to have something that somebody's going to stand behind, first of all, so that hopefully I don't have to take that thing off and replace it again. But if I ever have to replace it again, at least it's going to not cost me something in the future. So the quality of what we put into our vehicles, the quality of what we put into our education, the quality of what we put into our investing careers is very important. And that means looking for quality in what we are going to put into our own education and put into our own careers. So we're looking at two crucial factors, okay? We're looking at experience and we're looking at quality. And when Bill was talking about that engineer, those are the two things that a race team is looking for in an engineer. They're looking for somebody who has experience, who has a background, who's proven himself with other cars, with other teams and other races. And they're looking for somebody who has quality. There are great engineers who are impossible to work with. Nobody wants to work with them because they have attitudes or they have egos or they wake up on the wrong side of the bed every single day. You can have a great engineer, but you have very poor quality. So you need that union of both in everything we do, literally, in the mate that we choose for our life. You know, in the careers that we choose, everything that we do, those are the two most crucial things that we're looking for. I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't mean to step all over your story.
No, that's all right. And while we break, Kevin had asked me what this picture was. And this is actually the 1999 Indy 500. This is coming out of turn one. And like I said, that 42 there, that's John Hollinsworth. That's our car. All right. So the owner explained to me that money equals speed. Tony Robbins explained to me that if I've got the opportunity to learn from somebody at a different level, I can take decades and turn them into days. Here's how that all equates to your real estate and your real estate education. All of us continue to learn constantly. If you're not growing, you're dying. And so that's the way business is. That's the way we are as human beings. So we want to continually be learning. I absorb as much as I can possibly get my hands on. I'm always reading real estate books. I'm always watching real estate shows. I have probably 20 different websites that I regularly visit for real estate news. Then I'm always just wanting to stay on top of the market, on what's happening with all the underlying factors in the market. How do Kevin and I know where the market's headed? Because we study the market and we see these underlying factors that are telling us, hey, the market is turning and here's why. Now with real estate, one of the great blessings we get is it's a slow turn because the market is so gigantic. So you get all these underlying signs and typically it takes a good 12 to 24 months for the market to turn. Now, the public doesn't see that until it's actually turned and then suddenly, oh, the market's bad or, oh, the market's great.
Until they're actually talking about it in the newspaper and on the news. That's when the public generally sees it.
That's way. It's been going on a long time prior to that. So this money equals speed is find somebody like Kevin and I, and we would obviously prefer that it be us because we know the quality that we're going to deliver you. And learn from the best. Learn from the fact that you can drive, and since we're car guys, we do a lot of car analogy. You can drive a Yugo. They don't even make Yugos anymore. Whatever a cheap car is, I don't want to insult anybody by saying a car that you may drive in, but you can drive an inexpensive car, and it's going to provide a certain experience. And if all you are concerned about is getting from A to B, that's fine. You can drive. People always ask me why I drive Mercedes, and I've been driving Mercedes for years. And I said, well, one, because the maintenance cost is very low. Ooh, there's a myth that's busted because of the quality that goes into the vehicle. And I enjoy all the other things that go along with it, including the status and those kind of things. So when I'm looking for education, I am not looking for the low-cost provider. I'm looking for the quality, because I've lived long enough to understand the truism: you get what you pay for, but you also can get extremes amounts of value. And that's what I'm looking for. I don't mind paying the price. In fact, I've always said price goes out the window when value is there. So when we're teaching you about real estate, we're going to be focused on delivering the maximum amount of value that we can. We try to deliver value for you every single podcast, and that's free. So this money equals speed is if I can go out and hire Kevin as my consultant or hire Bill as my consultant, then what's going to happen is I'm trading some dollars for a massive amount of experience that gives me the speed. I'm hiring the best race engineer that I can. And that's these two guys that you're looking at right now. And in doing that, I finish stronger, I finish faster. And look, the higher up you finish in racing, it is nothing but money. More money, more money. The higher up you get, boom, 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 boom. The prize money goes up, 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 and up. The same thing happens in business. I'm looking to finish. I'm looking to finish strong. I'm looking to finish first. I want to get as big a prize money as I can. And all of that comes from understanding the game. And that's what the engineers in racing do. That's what Kevin and I do for real estate investors. So that's my sermon for today, sir.
All right. I've got plenty for the last segment because I want to take that same analogy and apply it towards real estate and towards business, because a couple of things. First of all, Bill and I both have business backgrounds as well. And if you invest in real estate, no matter what you did before, investing in real estate is a business. It is going to be your business. And I'm not saying that just because that's what your focus is. You literally need to set it up like a business in order to be successful. Bill and I have had and still do a number of different types of businesses as well. This analogy plays out for those, and we're going to explain that when we come back on our last segment. By the way, Bill, in case you forgot from our celebration here, this is show 101. So show 101, thanks to those of you who joined us last Thursday for show 100. We'll be back in just a minute with our last segment.
My name's Kevin Mills. I have a real estate training program that is so powerful, I will back it up with a double your money back guarantee that it will make you a millionaire. That's right. Double your money back guarantee that you will be a millionaire if you use what you learn in the Millionaire Blueprint. I call it the Guaranteed Millionaire Blueprint, and you can read more about it and watch more videos at guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. That's guaranteedmillionaireblueprint.com. Check it out. All the information is there. 11 months out of the year, Bill and I host real estate buyers events in cities like Cleveland, Ohio, where we ourselves invest and see great returns. We show investors the types of strategies we're using, the types of properties we're using. We introduce them to people here on the ground and the resources that they can use to get started right away. Day 4 of this event, we're actually touring properties and making offers on properties. This event was designed to put properties in your portfolio right away, high-performing properties. Read more about the Real Estate Buyers event. Get registered. We'll see you at the next event, realestatebuyersevent.com.
And we are back with segment 3 of our Investor Guys podcast. Now, a couple of things I wanted to put together as far as when you become a real estate investor, when you're a real estate investor, even in business, okay, that pole position, just as in racing, is coveted. And that really means that you are going to be the first person out of the gate. And that means when opportunities come knocking, you're able to recognize them quicker. You're able to get there faster. If you are behind, if you're not in pole position, you're stumbling over other people in order to get to that deal before somebody else gets that deal. You are stumbling over other people to make an offer on a property that other people are making offers on. So you're not going to be the first person in the door for that. Having that pole position, having that ability to get to pole position in business, in real estate, in life for that matter. And honestly, if you can get there in real estate, you'll probably get there in business and life as well, because it's the same driving forces, the same driving factor. Now, here's an interesting thing that we can correlate to racing and we can correlate to life and investing in business. The person who gets pole position all the time is not always going to have it. Mario Andretti did not always have pole position. And we're not always going to have pole position, but we want to be as close to that pole position as possible. And I can tell you some of the things that aren't going to get us to pole position are procrastination, okay? Being lazy, saying we're going to do it tomorrow, not understanding how to get to pole position, not having that right engineer or that right equipment. There are so many great drivers first starting out that don't have a name for themselves yet, but they're great drivers. But they have to start with a team that doesn't have a whole lot of money because they don't have a name for themselves. And unfortunately, they don't get a chance to prove themselves because the equipment that they're using, the cars that they're using, sometimes don't make it to the finish line. They make it to the finish line, but they were running hot, so they couldn't push it as hard as they wanted to. They had tires that they weren't able to, buy brand new. It was something that they had finished out a race on the last race, and they started it off on the car, and they didn't want to push it because the tires were going to go. What people don't realize is you'll go through 2 or 3 sets of tires in a race like this in literally, a day.
Yeah, you'll go through about 7, 8 sets.
It depends upon what you're racing and what you're racing on. Yeah, you'll burn through tires. And these tires are not cheap. They're expensive tires. So if it's the last set of tires that a team put on a car and they don't have the budget for it, they'll start their race out on those tires because they want to get all the life and all the money they can out of those tires. Again, so many reasons why you won't be at pole position when you should be, and so many reasons why you may not finish the race if you're not racing in the right vehicle, with the right quality, with the right crew. Bill's been on a pit crew. I've had pit crews myself because I've actually been out there racing, not on the oval. I did sports car racing, but if you have a weak link in your pit crew, you're not going to get there. And a pit crew is essentially our real estate agents, our financing people, bird dogs if we're bird dogging, even ourselves, our ability to answer phone calls when they come in. If we're ignoring phone calls or we're too busy to get a phone call or we're not returning phone calls, that's on us. That is our weak links, and that will cause us to lose a deal. I've had so many people call me and say, hey, I've got a counter offer on that property. What do you want to do? Okay. If I didn't answer that phone, then they're going to go ahead and they're going to take that counter, because why wait for me when they could be getting more money in the same period of time, or before somebody else comes from another agency and makes another counter offer. So put yourself in a position to where you can attain that pole position, because you are going to benefit from it time and time and time again, because you're going to be the first one out the gate. You may not be that inside pole position, but being at the front of the pack is very, very important. There's an old joke that goes, if you're not the leader of the pack, you're always looking at butts. Okay. And there's another twist on it that says, if you're not the leader of the pack, you're always smelling butts. And that goes back to dog racing days, where they put, a pack of dogs, all in a formation, usually about 6 of them, and they would do side by side by side. So if you're not that lead dog who's out in the front, who's sniffing fresh air, you're looking at another dog's butt and you're smelling another dog's butt. And until you get to that lead position, that's where you're going to be. Now, the reason they put that dog out in the lead position, the reason they put the horse, the strongest horse, in the lead position is because it's strongest. So you want to be in that lead position, that pole position. And the way to get there is by having quality information, having quality products, having quality equipment, having a quality education, and having coaches. They're going to get you there. One thing that you may not realize that Bill can attest to, these drivers have coaches. These teams have coaches. Sometimes they call them consultants, but they absolutely have coaches and consultants on everything from how big the advertising should be next to the meatball. Okay, and the meatball is that little circle that's on the car. To what could be done, what different Kevlar suit could be worn by the driver so that we're taking 26 ounces out of the car. Because if you can trim 26 ounces here and you can trim 26 ounces here and you can trim 26, before you know it, you've got 20 pounds less, and that makes a big difference. There was actually a formula I used to know in the old days. I think every 20 pounds is the equivalent to an additional horsepower that you can get. You're not actually getting more horsepower, but it is the equivalent of adding another horsepower because you're reducing the weight of the vehicle. All right, Bill, what do you want to say? I see you there smiling and grinning, and you just want to get out of here, huh?
Is a quick coaching story. We hired a guy who was a legend at Indy, guy named Toni Bettenhausen, and we brought him in to coach our drivers. Why? So they could go faster. Why? Because Toni had more time. He had driven more laps than anybody alive on the Indy track, because he was, besides the career that he had before he got injured, he also it was still doing test driving for Firestone Tires, which was the tire brand that the 500 used. So he would drive all year round. He would be out on that track driving and testing tires and stuff. So he had more time on the track than anybody. So we brought this guy in, we hired him, we paid him a lot of money. And so our second driver, I'm not going to mention his name because he's a fabulous guy. He was always kind of snake bit, but he just wasn't getting up to speed, and he kept complaining about the car. And Toni said, it's not the car, it's you, because you're not prepared to go that fast. Back then, we were running 230, 235 down the backstretch. So he said, you're just not prepared to go that fast. We put our regular driver, John, in the second car, and John got it up to speed 2 laps. It was up to the same speed that he was going in our primary car. And it was a process that the driver was not mentally prepared to drive that fast, our second driver. And it ended up costing him his seat in the car, and we put somebody else in it. For a real estate investor, what that means is you got to be ready to pull the trigger. When you go out and look at properties, when I take people out, we have a real estate agent with us, and I always make sure that the investor, or when I'm doing it myself, I've got my financing ready. If I need a pre-approval letter, I've already got that done. If I need a proof of funds letter, I already have that done before I go out looking at property, so that I can move quickly. I request of my agent, and I can't imagine an agent that doesn't have this. Almost every agent works off of an iPad. I request that they bring it with them, because if we see a property and I go through it and the numbers work, then I'm going to ask the agent, make me an offer on this property right now. Real estate agents don't make conversational offers. It's only done on contract. So they've got the contract right in their iPad. They can pull it up, fill in just a few blanks. You can literally sign it on the iPad, and they can submit that offer while you're in the house right there. That's speed. That real estate agent, as Kevin had mentioned, that's your engineer. So I want somebody that knows the game, that knows how to move quickly, that they've got everything they need, so that if we want to make an offer right now, we can make an offer right now, because I'm more apt to be able to get this property if I'm sitting on the pole position with my offers. If I'm one of the first guys, or if I'm the first guy, or I'm the fastest in with an offer on the property, then I got a good shot at being able to get that property. So that's the last racing analogy I'll use today.
Well, actually, I've got more. So Bill's talking about his driver. And the reason a driver doesn't get up to speed, the reason a driver doesn't feel everything that the car can do is because they're afraid. Okay. And a lot of people are going to be afraid, especially getting started with real estate. Now, I've never driven an Indy car because I'm 6'7". I don't fit in Indy cars. They just don't make them my size. It's a physical impossibility. I would love to drive an Indy car. When you get to about 100, 120 miles an hour, there's so much downdraft on an Indy car that you could actually be driving upside down, literally. I would love to drive an Indy car. I used to drive sports cars, and I used to get 200 plus miles an hour in a sports car. And I can tell you, that's scary. The car is actually lifting up off of the ground sometimes from the air that's coming underneath of it, not from the bumps that you're hitting. It's scary, and you either embrace that and realize that that's what's going to get you to the end, not being reckless, okay, but realizing that that's part of racing a car, okay. I loved it because it was an adrenaline rush. I loved it, and I was careful. I felt like I knew how much I could push myself and how much I could push my car, okay? And as an investor and as a person who's doing business, you need to realize the same thing. It is absolutely an adrenaline rush. When you get a property that you've been looking forward to getting, that is an adrenaline rush. When you start seeing the profits from that property that you knew you were going to get, even if they're better than what you thought they were going to get, that's an adrenaline rush. You have to know your limits. If you're a person who's going to be too afraid to get all of that you can out of that vehicle, and in this case, we're talking about your education, we're talking about investing. If you're going to be too afraid to do that, you're not going to be a high performer. You may win a race or two here and there just by chance, by luck, but you're not going to be a high performer. You're not going to be a winner over and over and over again. And this may not be the game for you. If you don't have the stomach for this, then you should probably look for something else. It isn't that scary once you've done it a few times. And that's another thing that I can say about racing. Once I went around that track a couple of times, and I knew where the car was going to feel lighter, and I knew where I was going to hit just a little dip that was going to give me some air. When I knew that I could go around the turn just a little bit faster, or that I had to go a little bit slower, because sometimes those are lessons you learn also, okay? Then I was good. I was happy to do that track again and again and again and again. Now, on an oval track, it's pretty much just an oval. When you do a sports car track, it's different. Every track is different. So you look forward to racing new tracks so that you can learn new tracks. But you love racing tracks that you've spent on a lot of time on because you know that track like the back of your hand. So Watkins Glen, Nelson Ledges, Mid-Ohio. Today, I could still go there. I could drive my cars, and I still do sometimes when I'm up north. And I've got that muscle memory for that track. Literally, it just kicks in. After one or two laps, it's there. It's still there. And it's going to be the exact same thing as a real estate investor. Bill, this was a great analogy to pick. It really was. Racing and real estate seem to go hand in hand.
Yep.
So maybe that's why we both love racing. We both love real estate. We both love cars. It seems like it's a genetic fit. So great analogy. Thanks for coming up with that. Very
good. Hey, thanks for being with us. We will be out with more real estate and fun analogies. Join us. We'll be back in a couple of days. So
yeah, I almost feel like we should do a racing show because there's so much more I'd love to talk about, like the carbon fiber units on the cars. All right, another show. We need to do a racing show. I'll talk to you later. Enjoy your day, Bill. Happy investing, everybody. Episode 101. Join us for episode 102 on Thursday.